television show called Veterans Onward to Prosperity that is produced through the Disability Channel. And I am an ambassador with the Disability Channel and ever so proud to be associated with the company, which is all about television, in most cases produced by people with disabilities, and shows about everybody, all abilities. And there is a platform with the Disability Channel called Digital Ventures, which teaches people, in part, there's a little segment of that educational program teaching people what we're doing here, doing podcasting, producing shows, public speaking, things of that nature, and then everything that goes with it in terms of marketing, digital production, and so forth. And all of this is done in concert with an aligned podcasting company, Transform You Media Network. And together we work on a collaborative project called the World of Ability Podcast. The anchor show for that is produced every Saturday at 2:00 Central, 3:00 Eastern. It's called the World of Ability Podcast, which is something that was born out of a radio show that I've been doing for 5 years called Ability MKE Now. So the World of Ability takes us from that local show out of Milwaukee, Ability MK Now, and bridged it out to a more global landscape in the show production. So with that being said, that's a little bit of my background to help everybody get oriented to kind of how we came to this place. But I just want to open up the microphone for Radhavi for just a nice hello and any insights you want to give for yourself, Radhavi, in terms of your life's history with nonprofits, philanthropic work, charitable aspects, any ministries maybe. What kind of a do-gooder are you, Radhavi? And then what do you witness out there?
Yeah, I'm not connected to a nonprofit per se, but I connect with my heart. And when I feel called to offer something like to Haiti the other day when they went through a very difficult time, my heart speaks. So I sent money there, or I'll give money somewhere. So it's just I follow my heart and not in one particular organization.
Well, that is good. We appreciate that you do that, and I guess there's a cliche of that. It's called spread the wealth, I guess, is one way to.
Oh, that's a good word. That's a good word, Kurt.
Yeah. So we met through the Happy Neighborhood Project, and we are in that format where we're in a main room. They do a program, like we just did a little introductory program. Then we go into a breakout room and we do a couple minutes of introduction, saying who we are, what we do, and potentially an ask for the group and an icebreaker question and so forth. But can you share with us a little bit of at the Happy Neighborhood Project and with your role in business? What do you share with the public on what you're doing professionally?
Well, in the breakout room, talk about happy network, that we all are part of, HNP. It's interesting, but what I say in the breakout room is I really help people to feel peace and happiness in our situations. And so the HNP is a happiness group, which really didn't take it off that, but so I help people to feel peace and happiness. And what does that mean? Where did that come from? That started when I began to go through my own self-healing, because we all have been conditioned, whether we are very aware of it or not. Somebody else is always giving us their opinion of how we should be or who we are. And so that conditioning has really veiled the essence of our being. And so during the times when I identified with my conditioning, it was really not a happy time. It was really a withdrawn really shy, insecure, withdrawn person. And then some magical moments, I was confronted with, and I knew I had to take that wounded child out of the closet where I locked her away and walked away from her. And I had to be, I was confronted with that, with her. And so I knew I had to connect with her. So, without going into the details of 3 weeks of her in front of me. And so what I recognized most importantly when it came to me that I have to connect with her is that I had the memories of what happened to me, but I didn't have the emotions that connected with it. And so the emotions connect with the memory for me is where the deep healing starts. And so I got to, during my healing, I got to understand about the human conditioning. That's exactly what the self-healing that I did, that's exactly how I support other people. Because if you don't release the conditioning, the memories are imprinted in our bodies and they are alive. Although we may walk away or close down the memories of it, they are alive and they're working and they're creating a type of personality and a strong sense of belief. So that's what I do now. When I found peace and happiness, I want to offer it to people. So I really help people to find peace and happiness in spite of all situations.
So Radavi, when you say all situations, it's a general statement. And I think we out here, we're kind of taking our consciousness and maybe subjecting some potential ideas of, what you're saying there. But would you be able to help us out a little bit and give like a spattery of examples, like some scenarios or, just something that gives a little more crystal clear idea of what somebody may be dealing with and, kind of how you're
Right.
transitioning them into this state of more happiness?
Yes, of course. So I can think of, so many clients have come to me with so many different experiences and what they want to hear. And what is coming to mind, it was a man who came to see me, and in the time when he was talking about his childhood and he told me that his mother, as a young, maybe several months old or maybe a toddler, really was very kind to him. So he was very lucky. But he said one day he noticed that she was loving to him, but there was a sadness in her. There was an unhappiness in her. And what he did, this contrast created such a confusion for him that he closed down. And I feel that during that time, he couldn't trust women as he grew up because you never know what they're saying to him if they're feeling the same thing. And that was I never forgot that. And this is what happens to us when we're very young. We're very, very multidimensional. So what happened, we went to the memory, we cleared all of that, and what happened, he had unveiled some very strong beliefs that really opened him up into a very, very, a place of more freedom. So that was one experience. And I know that for me, I had, as I said, very insecure and very shy. And over the years, as I continue to go through my self-healing, I find that there's less veils. So if there's less veils, there's more of who you really are, because those veils gives us a very strong identification, belief of who we think we are. And as things started to move more into more light is now in my body. So when we release those past, we're releasing a lot of the imprints that shadows the body. So when there's not enough light of that's there, and this light is light consciousness. Consciousness is love. There's nothing more but love. And I got to the place where my identification fell away, just lost it. And I opened back to the essence of my being, which was the original thing that we all have, this essence of our being. And in that place, we see the world not from an identification, but we see the world from that essence of our being, the love that is in here. So in spite of what may be going on out in the outer world, like now there's a lot of, pandemic and lots of chaos and lots of unhappiness. And I have a lot of compassion for some of the people of what they're going through. Excuse me. But that has not affected me, because the place from which I'm seeing everything is not from the identification of what's going on there, or the identification of who I am and who we all are. And that's the reason I am so passionate in helping people to unveil their identification, because I know I was there. I was right there where they are. The beliefs and the unhappy feelings.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, we're in. Uh, uh, um,
Do you want me to say something more? Would you want me to say something more?
Yeah, and find where. Um, um, so you just kind of knew you wanted to kind of do this thing from, coming from that being like so shy and that kind of thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Like, um, I don't remember. So,
It's okay.
um, have you helped a lot of people through this?
Yes, lots. I've been doing this for over 30 years.
Oh,
So
wow.
Emily, if anything is happening to you now, you want to ask me something personal, let do that. If you're open to doing that.
Yeah, that's. Okay, where'd you go?
I was just watching the show, ladies. So
You
this
left
is
you and I together, Emily. You left you and I together. So talk to me, Emily. What is it you're feeling now? That's okay.
That I want to kick Kurt in the butt.
uh-oh. This could be a live session going on right here. What do you think,
I
Rob?
think so, because I can look at Emily and say, talk to me, Emily. Talk to me, whatever you're feeling that's coming up, because I can see that. We all have gone through stuff, Emily. No one is ever exempt from it. And that's why I have such a compassion, because sometimes some of us never had anyone to talk to who could really understand what we're feeling. Many times, children are told, don't cry, don't, or I give you something to cry for, or scream at the child to shut up, or nobody even care whether you're crying or not.
Yeah, so I think you know, as we do shows, we have a culture of, entertainment shows and expectation that, things just kind of pop off. And I think our dialogue and our whole communication process, events and stuff like that, everything is so fast paced that I think once in a while people can feel lost in the moment,
Yeah.
and I think that's why I just wanted to be really patient, even though we're in a show, to illustrate, like you talk about being compassionate, Rodney. So once in a while, it's great and it's healthy to break away from everybody else's expectation and just allow the uniqueness of the moment to unveil. Like in public.
Absolutely. Because we're real people. We are real people here alive. And we're not putting on a mask. We are really talking from where we are, and we're receiving what it is. And this is a very beautiful moment when we are vulnerable, when we can be vulnerable. To me, being vulnerable is being real. And we look at children, for instance, and why is it people always go around babies? They're so beautiful. There's something about a baby. It can't speak. It doesn't have a language. The brain is not developed yet. And to me, what it is the essence of the baby, the innocence. It hasn't been conditioned yet. And that's what our heart just go out to these beautiful babies. And then we when we grow up, we have forgotten that we were once that beautiful essence that is still there, but covered over with all of these unhappiness or experiences that we've had. And every one of us, I'm sure the three of us here have had some unpleasant experiences. And I think I want to talk about one of my childhood unpleasant experience. Can I be raw on this program?
Sure. Go right ahead.
Good. Well, I was a breech, and my mother was in labor for 3 days, so I was born at home, midwife. And this breech, I would never, never be able to be born. I could not. And the midwife literally pulled me out. So she saved me and my mother. But what happened is I realized that my mother was in a lot of fear for the 3 days because she didn't know what would happen or what's going to happen. So in her moments of being upset with me, I'm a little kid, you know, I just, she would blame me for her labor. So that was very heavy on an innocent child who got blamed for something that seemed very heavy to me. So that was the beginning of who I felt I was. So it was my fault. Yeah. So the beauty about that, though, Kurt and Emily, is that I was able to get over it. It wasn't easy. That was only a fraction of what happened. And so I judged my mother for a very long time and step away from her because I was deeply hurt. I was deeply wounded with that. And so having gone through releasing these imprints, as I talked about, crying them out, having someone who I was present to myself. And that's what I do with my clients. I'm present to them. I even go into the pain with them so they know that somebody acknowledges their pain. And we work with that. It's so beautiful. To me, it's a sacred journey when one can open themselves to allow, to feel safe and trust with someone else to help them to hold that space. And that's why this is very devotional to me. My work I'm very devoted to this. And if I didn't have the experience, I wouldn't have that devotion and that strong commitment to help people in the same way. So yeah.
Excellent stuff, Radavi. So as you're talking here, and as I was speaking earlier, between what you're saying and what Emily's saying and I'm saying, I'm thinking of a situation that I was in with a Zoom event. So picture, we're in a Zoom event, and there's, like, let's just say, for example's sake, there's 50 people in a Zoom session, and it's got the program going on, and then it's kind of wrapping up, and then people are kind of leaving the Zoom connection, but then it gets to be about 10 people, and then there gets, and then some other individuals pop off, and then there's like 5 people, and then it gets down to about 4 of us. And kind of as we're coming to this point of everybody vacating the Zoom meeting, we come to realize that in one of the video screens is one of our friends from the meeting is down on the desk and not seeing any movement and not seeing any respirations, and just really building up this concern, for our friend. And we're watching for if we can see any sign of breathing or whatever, because we're thinking, that, it's about falling asleep or whatever, but we didn't know, and so we, call 911, and we're trying to research, like, how do we figure out, like, it's one of 50 people in a meeting. So then now we got to figure out how we're going to have an address.
Oh, wow.
All this stuff. And so we're going into this for 15, 20 minutes thinking, like,
Frightened.
I was thinking, like, wow, are we really witnessing the death of a friend right here? Because we have no sign of life. And we're actually calling the number. We're seeing on the desk the phone illuminating with our call coming through, and that's not
Not
doing
pick it up.
so we're going and going. We call the police, and there gets to be an officer assigned, and interactions were going and going. And then sure enough, the officer calls the phone just like we did. And for whatever reason, that environmental disturbance, our call didn't do it, but this call did. And all of a sudden our friend woke up, you know, and so forth. But I just share that kind
You were
of
traumatized. Yes, of course.
yeah, and it's something to be said about, you know, being aware and being cognizant of other people around us, because if we let the busy, you know, lifestyle that at least in America we've created, fast-paced society, you know, the typical norm would be meetings over, click Zoom end,
Let's
and
go.
and then so it really got me thinking about the what if nobody noticed a person down on the desk, and say it's the other side of possibility where there was, you know, need for defibrillation or, you know, first aid and, you know, resuscitation or something, and everybody ignores that. So I think I'm kind of deviating a little bit
No,
from
but that was frightening, Kurt.
yeah.
Because what the mind does, it thinks of the worst thing. Isn't what we do? Oh my God, he's dead. He had a heart attack. All of those things. And then what happened? When we feel those things, he had a heart attack. That feeling is coming from us. So we are really in a traumatized place. That was a very interesting thing that happened. So is it that he fell asleep?
Yeah, like I say, when the officer called, you know, that whether
Yeah.
the microphone setting for the video feed was off, so we didn't have any clue if there was a ringtone, if it was set to vibrate, whatever.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
whatever with that, we were able to see
It was
the
the
action
right
to the phone.
it was the right whatever to get kind of wake the person up or whatever.
Yeah, and then we come to learn that it's a syndrome or something. It was described to us as a syndrome. So I think like narcolepsy or whatever, but we didn't get into it like that. It was like we were just happy that everything was okay. So we just
Oh my God.
we just went like everything's okay, and you know that's what we wanted. We were sticking there to make sure. You
Did
know,
you get to meet him after that because you're part of a Zoom?
um no, I didn't, but actually, you know, the other host of the meeting is planning a follow-up and whatever. So we'll be able
Okay.
to circle around and
Wow,
so
Kurt,
That sounds really scary.
that was traumatizing, really.
Yeah, just hearing about it is traumatizing.
I
yeah.
know because
I can't imagine it being in the situation. That must have been.
we think of the worst thing, we do.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a survival instinct, and I think it's
Absolutely.
and it's an empathetic drive, because to think of like it for me to think, you know, I'm on a desk like that, I'm at a meeting, and nobody could tell that I'm breathing or not. And then the question is, does anybody call the ambulance for me? You know, I mean, these are things we got to think of. And that's where building reciprocity in our culture is so important, you know, that, you know, living life with the practice of doing good for others is kind of like that universe aspect, you know, you help enough other people in the trail of your life. Like when people talk about karma and whatever, that, you know, I think that is a crucial component, because otherwise, how do we feel that chain of life, the linkages, that something that we may need in our time of need, that'll be there for us, like to say we're unconscious and we can't call 911, somebody else has to do that for us. We have to set that in our culture that these things happen.
Well, there are a couple of things I'd say about that. First of all, We absolutely are connected. Everything is connected. And when I talk about the essence of our being, going back to the baby, that is always alive. It's the light is always present, but it's covered over. You can't see it, and it's not living from that. Is the essence of our being is what the divine spark, which is that we are all sparks from the one flame, and the one flame is the divine. So the three of us are here having different experiences. We look different, but consider how we are connected as sparks of the divine. That and we're all here on this planet to be of service, to serve. And it's not about serving self. It's about whatever we have learned, or whatever our heart feels open, is to serving others. And we do it in different ways. It's really beautiful. And you and Emily are in service in this small frame to be open to doing podcasts. You're giving yourself an offering. And nothing is ever too small to not look at the value of it. Nothing. And so we're all here sharing from a heart place and being really authentic, not to each other. It's very beautiful. I'm very touched by this conversation. So I don't know if Emily has anything she wants to share.
I think this has been a good conversation so far.
Good.
So thank you for sharing, Kurt.
Oh, absolutely. Happy to do so. So one question I have, Radha V, is we met through the Happy Neighbor Project. So I just wonder, for our show here, would you be able to get into kind of those beginning moments, going back to the day where you had no idea that there was such a thing as the Happy Neighbor Project, and then somehow you became aware of it, and then you liked what you saw or heard to the point that you attended, and then you become very involved in the Happy Neighbor Project. Can you kind of let us know that process, how you got involved?
Absolutely. Well, I was not new at meetups. I was not new at it to go into these places. And I met a man who I connected with. And what a beautiful person right now. He gave me a list of other meetup groups. And I thought, oh my God, that's overwhelming. Oh, what do I go to? Which was the first one I want to choose? And I said, the Happy Neighborhood Project. I like the word, I like the happy, I'm going to go. And it happened to be Edwin's on a Friday. And I went there and I have no idea. I see this man of a different color and everybody honored him. You could tell, because I'm very sensitive to energies. And I'm there, the newcomer, looking on. And I thought, oh my God, all these people, they are energetically alive. They're open, they're friendly. I couldn't believe it. I said, I have never gone to another meetup group and find a situation like this before. And that, Kurt, I never stopped. I kept searching, where else am I going to go now? I went to Australia, I went to India, I went to UK, I went to Canada, I went to different places in the United States. And as a matter of fact, there's one that I used to go to. I no longer go there.
Okay. Oh, very good.
I made a choice. because I knew something that attracted me better.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, I know you mentioned about Edwin, and Edwin's I think pretty fond of Emily, right? And vice versa. Emily, you rave about Edwin once in a while, right?
Uh, sort of, yes. But I know, I know when I've said stuff, Edwin's been, I don't know, I've gotten a positive reaction out of Edwin. So, um,
And Edwin is so open to life,
yeah.
that it exudes this happiness, and he offers it to everyone because life for him is happy. And it's interesting is that I help people to find peace and happiness.
Yeah,
Yes.
Emily is one of Edwin's co-hosts for Happy Neighborhood Project Wisconsin on Zoom every Tuesday at 1:00 Central, 2:00 Eastern. And so you've been with us in the Wisconsin edition,
Yeah, I
right,
think
Rob?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seen
So
Emily there too. Mm.
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, Emily, out of her experience with Edwin and with the work at Onward and Upward, Emily's had the awareness to, collaborate with us in our team meeting. We're having a team meeting with Onward and Upward. And she thought of the Happy Neighborhood Project as kind of a growth point. And so what is
Oh,
Emily says, what about if we have a free Happy Business Networking meeting, like we did H&P Ability, to do, another themed free Happy Business Networking group that would be H&P Nonprofit. And so that's
oh,
functional now. We went through the whole process of sharing that brainstorm with Edwin, and Edwin loved it. And to be honest with you, I think it's actually Edwin's favorite networking meeting, because when you look at his work is about, helping people in personal improvement through happiness as a skill and everything through the I Am Happy project. And then looking at the role of nonprofits and then transitioning people from doing things for free to monetizing it, actually. And that's
I
that whole
know. That's really amazing.
so
Yes,
that whole aspect is what bridged from the I Am Happy project to the Happy Neighborhood project.
that's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
I don't think I've ever heard him say the nonprofit was his favorite group like he did the ability one, but it probably is. Those two are probably his like top favorite.
Yeah, it was just an
Mm.
easy conversation. It was like,
I hear you.
what's that?
Oh, I couldn't hear you at one.
Oh,
Okay, I can hear you now.
okay. Yeah, when we were talking to Edwin about H&P Nonprofit, it was a very easy conversation, because as soon as we mentioned the title of it, it was just like the light bulb went on, and
Uh,
immediately collaborating how we're going to make it work, recruiting a co-host team. And so yeah, that's where the whole design of the Happy Neighborhood project, and with its master classes and the Happy Co-op and everything that it is, it's such a great structure that, I don't know that anything else compares to it,
no,
from
there's
my
no
awareness.
way. No, 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 no. No, nothing else compares. No, no, no. And another thing, Kurt, that I love so much about the group, people are always reaching out to me for one-on-one, one-on-one to get to know you more, want to share. And to me, that is so beautiful. I have such a long list of people from H&P who have reached out, and we chat. And I had two people today that I chatted with from H&P, and excluding this, not including being here.
That's awesome. Kurt and I, Kurt and
Yes.
I, Kurt and I have a long list too, so it's not just you.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do, Kurt.
Yeah, basically,
No, I know people are always moving out to connect with other people. Yes.
yeah, Emily and I started with the Happy Neighborhood Project August of 2020. So 14 months in the making here. And just through the natural system and the way it's led and co-hosted and tied into social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, and the posting parties and just all the professional work being done, just through HMP, it's accumulated 2,000 contacts, through what I'm directly connected with from, now being a captain of co-host teams and so forth. And just with everything that Happy Neighborhood Project is with activity wise and, all the free happy business networking sessions, just never imagined that, a
That's
couple thousand
beautiful.
contacts could be accumulated, not really effortlessly, but I just know it's not my norm. Like if it wasn't for this system, I never would have accumulated 2,000 people.
I know. I'm sure. So when did you join, Kurt? In
August
20?
2020, so 14 months ago.
Nice.
So,
Beautiful. And Emily, how long have you been a member?
Here I'm on mute.
Uh,
I've been with it's pretty much the same time as
that's Kurt.
that's Kurt, yeah, almost.
So
I
Kurt,
think he might be in a couple more months longer than I have, but it's pretty much about the same.
yeah. So Kurt, how did you connect with Emily? Or maybe I should ask Emily how she connected with you.
yeah, it's through the founder of Onward and Upward, Anna Maria Bliven. Basically, I did some advocacy work at the Capitol in Madison, Wisconsin, and a gentleman who was just doing his own thing at the Capitol struck up a conversation with me, and we were there, or I was there with a group that was doing what's called Disability Advocacy Day, where we all went to our respective representatives and talked about the important considerations of legislation in consideration of people with disabilities. So for us Wisconsinites with disabilities. And so basically a gentleman was very interested in seeing so many people in the Capitol and curious, and obviously then seeing so many people with disabilities in the atrium of the Capitol. And so just kind of struck up a conversation out of curiosity. And then it comes to be that he knows Anna Maria Bliven as well. And through the work that I'm doing, he just thought of Anna Maria to say, I think you might enjoy meeting Anna Maria, and just kind of told me a little bit about her. And I said, absolutely. It sounds like I need to meet Anna Maria. And he made it happen. And it's been a marvelous thing. And Emily's executive assistant for Anna Maria. So I inherently, when I met Anna Maria, met Emily as well. And I kid Emily that it's been downhill ever since, but no. No, that's been her experience with me, actually, I think is what it is. She's chuckling over there. So yeah,
Emily, you're always by Kurt's side. That's how in my mind I see Emily and Kurt.
Yeah, I think there's. I don't think you're the only one that has that
idea
in your head. I think a lot of other people in HFP have that same connection.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey. Starting August 2020. Obviously, like all of us, we went through our own learning curve of what is this thing, HMP, and the story of Edwin, and then all these people were being introduced to. And then I would just, in meetings with Anna Marie and Emily and others, share what's going on and being excited about it. I recommended to the team, like, hey, this seems like something that could really catapult Onward and Upward. We should pay attention to this. And so they did. And that prepared the way that in December, I confirmed with Edwin about my interests about starting HMP Wisconsin. And so he set a date with me for January. We had a January date, and basically I recruited Anna Marie and Emily to be my co-hosts, so we had co-hosts right off the bat. And so Emily's enjoyed it so much. One of Edwin's right-hand guys is Fong Vo, the director of happiness. Fong Vo takes care of the captain's program that I'm a part of for HMP. And I told Emily she'd make a good captain. What does she think? And so Emily has offered to Fong to be a captain. So as
that's great. You know what astonishes me, Kurt? How is it possible that one human being, one person, was able to start so many HMPs in so many countries? It is beyond me. And it started in when? In 2020?
Yeah, well, it was a crossover experience with COVID, because Edwin's story starts in 2009, where where he was responding to the corporate dynamic where there's lack of confidence out in the marketplace and so forth. And it led him to interview 1,000 people about happiness. And then he got inspired to start the I Am Happy project, which had a phone app and everything. And so aside from the Happy Neighborhood Project, there already is a community of thousands through the I Am Happy project that, is the precursor to HMP, but still going. Like on Clubhouse, there still is an I Am Happy project club and everything. And we still do with Helen, his wife, Helen. We do every morning. She does daily power of recitations. So a little 15-minute exercise of positive affirmations of saying
on Lunch Club
of Clubhouse.
I mean Clubhouse. Lunch Club.
Yeah.
Clubhouse. I've never been on it, and I would like to. I don't know how to get there. How do I get there?
To Clubhouse itself? Yeah, you just go to clubhouse.com. And when you get to clubhouse.com, you can see the information on the app that you can put on your phone. And then once you're set up with Clubhouse, there's also for your computer, if you're more comfortable on your PC.
Computer.
Yeah. Well, what you want to go through your smartphone first, get it all set up, get set up with Clubhouse. And then once you have your profile and account, you can go to Club Deck. Clubdeck.com is a third-party software, which is a third-party company created Club Deck, which allows you to grab your account from Clubhouse and use it on Club Deck on a computer rather than Clubhouse on the phone.
Oh.
So clubhouse.com to start, and next step would be clubdeck.com.
Clubdeck.com would be on my computer, because I much prefer doing it on my computer. But I have to go first to Clubhouse, sign up there, and
right.
So during the meetup, and they said, they give a telephone number to go to. Does that relate to Clubhouse? And they said, if you haven't, here is a telephone number to what is that telephone number about? Every time we go, one of the co-hosts or the host would say that.
Yeah. So what it is out of Sacramento, California, with our headquarters with Edwin, Fong, and Aaron, they have a phone line where they are able to type in a message, and then it goes out over that telephone number to us as guests of the Happy Neighborhood Project. And it's a way to subscribe, to opt in to a text list for our phone. So what we do is that by texting that phone number, we're entering our phone number into that phone line that
And
we're
let's get the
subscribing to
text.
SMS messages, so that when Edwin announces certain things like, a master class or, new information, about other events or, just priority items, because he doesn't do a lot of announcements. So these are his priority items. And when he announces stuff, he announces it over that phone line first. So when we get the text, we get that text before he does it by email.
I got it. So when you phone in with your smartphone, he picks up the text number. Oh, I got it. Always wondered.
Yeah, so what we say is to text like happy to that number. So if we type in that number, 916-579-7688, we do that as a new text message and just type in the word happy and then send that to that phone number. It's all automated, so it'll put your number in the broadcast list and you'll get all of those important messages from Edwin and headquarters about the Happy Neighbor Project.
Oh, then the next question is, they say that Edwin has his super eager and sing and all of that. So what is that on? Is that on Lunch Club or is it what? When on Friday night, which night does Edwin do
Friday
that?
night Pata Pata?
When he does his super eager thing.
Yeah, that's Pata Pata.
DJ Cho, as chief.
DJ, right, DJ Cho. What is that on?
That's on Clubhouse.
The same Clubhouse. Okay.
Yeah, and Emily, I think that's through I Am Happy, right? That's the I Am Happy Club for Pata Pata.
It's called Pata Pata?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Pata Pata night on Clubhouse.
Pata Pata.
Yeah, and I think you have to search for the club that is I Am Happy. So when you're in the I Am Happy Club, and then you see the activity of that club, that's the club where Helen's morning sessions are with daily power of recitations, and then the Friday night Pata Pata in the I Am Happy.
Okay. So what country is Edwin from?
Emily's from Madison, Wisconsin, right?
No, he has an accent.
Edwin's from Nigeria.
Oh, Edwin. I thought for some reason I thought you said Emily. Okay.
No, Edwin. No,
Nigeria.
Edwin. Yeah, that's what I thought. He was from Africa, somewhere there.
Yep. So, well, I would say that we are in our final minutes of this very nice show for Friendly Fridays, Onward and Upward.
It was. I enjoyed it.
Oh, very good, Roddy.
Yeah, hanging out with you and Emily.
Yep, good stuff. So you're welcome back anytime. And so, Emily, you want to take us into a little bit of the conclusion that you would have for us today?
Thank you for joining us today, and to everyone who's tuned in on social media. I hope you come back and join us again next week, same time, same place. And to all those who've done, who've liked, shared, commented, and so on our social media. Over to you, Kurt.
All right. Thank you, Emily. And again, thank you, Rada V. Very great show today. And I welcome everybody. If you have any questions or any follow-up with today's show, any business of any of our podcasting, anything I can do for you personally, feel free to send me an email, Kurt, K-U-R-T, at thedisabilitychannel.us. And feel free to call and text me at 262-372-1SKI. That's 262-372-1754. And I welcome everybody to visit a couple sites by Transform You Media Network. This show is powered by and made possible by Transform You Media Network. So one site is transformyoubroadcast.com, transform you, the letter U, broadcast.com, and same thing, transform you, the letter U, podcast.com. That's plural with an S at the end, transformyoupodcast.com, to catch a little bit more background on what we're doing here with all of our shows. We also produce Compassionate Citizens podcast Tuesday for here in the Western world, fall on Tuesday. We do that every Tuesday afternoon. And then Wednesdays are Prosperity Pathways podcast. So plenty of activity going here. And with that, we're signing off. And thanks for all of your activity on social media, following, sharing, commenting. It's all helping the cause here. And we appreciate you being a fan of the work we do. Until next time, I'm Kurt Roskoff with Prosperity Pathways and Onward and Upward.